For what purpose does the gentleman from California seek recognition?
Madam Speaker, I move to suspend the rules and agree to House Resolution 1228 as amended.
The clerk will report the title of the resolution.
House Resolution 1228, resolution honoring the veterans of Helicopter Attack Light Squadron 3 and their families.
Pursuant to the rule, the gentleman from California, Mr. Filner, and the gentleman from Indiana, Mr. Booyer, each will control 20 minutes. The chair recognizes the gentleman from California.
Madam Speaker, I yield myself such time as I may consume.
The gentleman is recognized.
And ask unanimous consent that all members may have 5 legislative days in which to revise and extend their remarks and include extraneous material on House Resolution 1228 as amended.
Without objection.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to thank first the Committee on Armed Services for working with us to bring this bill to the floor, and ask unanimous consent that the exchange of letters waiving jurisdiction between the Committee on Veterans Affairs and the Committee on Armed Services be inserted into the record at this point.
Without objection.
Thank you. Madam Chair, this resolution recognizes and honors the veterans of Helicopter Attack Light Squadron 3 and their families, and it's sponsored by Mr. Bozeman of Arkansas. The resolution recognizes the extraordinary courage of the nearly 3,000 veterans of Helicopter Attack Light Squadron 3, also known as HAL-3, who served in Vietnam from 1967 to March of 1972. The resolution also serves to honor the enormous sacrifice of the 44 members of HAL-3 who gave their lives while serving alongside their comrades in support of military operations in the Mekong Delta, Vietnam. This remarkable unit earned 6 Presidential Unit citations, 5 Navy Crosses, 31 Silver Stars, 219 Distinguished Flying Crosses, and 156 Purple Hearts, amongst numerous other awards. And unit citations make it possibly the most decorated Navy squadron during the Vietnam War. Between 1967 and 72, HAL-3 flew over 130,000 hours of combat and logistical support, inflicted thousands of casualties on enemy forces, performed 1,530 medical evacuations, carried more than 37,000 passengers, and delivered more than 1 million pounds of cargo to their destinations. The unit's expert maintenance and support personnel worked tirelessly to ensure that the squadron's aircraft were operational ready and that its crews were provided with the daily support needed to accomplish their dangerous and critically important missions. This resolution serves to honor the families of the HAL-3 veterans for their support and to express our condolences to the families and comrades of those killed in action. Helicopter Attack Light Squadron 3 left behind a combat and humanitarian record recognized as bringing great credit upon the United States Navy and its role in the Vietnam War. Passing this resolution is the least we can do to honor the service and enormous sacrifice of the Americans that constituted such a valorous unit in naval aviation history. Madam Speaker, I would reserve the balance of my time.
The gentleman from California reserves the balance of his time. The gentleman from Indiana is recognized.
Madam Speaker, I yield myself such time as I may consume.
The gentleman is recognized.
At this point, I'd like to yield to the author of this legislation, H.R. 1228, Dr. Bozeman of Arkansas. He was former chairman and now ranking member of the Economic Opportunity Subcommittee of the House Veterans Affairs Committee. Dr. Bozeman.
The gentleman from Arkansas is recognized for
such time as he may consume.
For as much time as he might consume.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I want to thank Ranking Member Booyer for yielding, and then also I want to thank the Chairman, Mr. Filner, and Ranking Member Booyer for allowing us to bring this resolution forward. Madam Speaker, I was proud to introduce House Resolution 1228, honoring the veterans of Helicopter Attack Light Squadron 3 and their families, to recognize the veterans' sacrifices in service to America during the Vietnam War. Despite the controversy surrounding the Vietnam War, most of the officers and enlisted men who served in the HAL-3 were volunteers. Most of the pilots were fresh out of flight training in Pensacola, and most of the junior enlisted were recent graduates of Navy boot camp and technical training schools. Their leaders were also new to combat, coming mostly from ship-based helicopter squadrons, normally assigned to track submarines and haul supplies. HAL-3 fought from 1967 to 1972. In that time, they earned the respect of Army and Navy units throughout the Mekong Delta for their courage under fire and their dedication to supporting their comrades on the ground and in small boats patrolling the canals and rivers. They supported Army troop insertions and extractions. Navy SEALs counted on their support in tight situations. Wounded sailors and soldiers benefited from battlefield medevacs. In short, the Sea Wolves mastered every form of combat helicopter operations. Here are some of the statistics from the resolution. The 9 detachments and Home Guard of HAL 3 flew 130,000 flight hours in 5 years. They performed 1,530 medical evacuations, inflicted thousands of casualties on enemy forces, transported 37,000 passengers, and hauled 1 million pounds of cargo. In accomplishing those milestones with a fleet of cast-off gunships and a few slicks, the veterans of HAL 3 were awarded 156 Purple Hearts, 5 Navy Crosses, 31 Silver Stars, 219 Distinguished Flying Crosses, 101 Bronze Stars, 142 Vietnam Gallantry Crosses, 16,000 Air Medals, and numerous other awards, including 6 Presidential Unit Citations, the highest recognition given to military units. Like any combat operation, there was a cost. 44 Sea Wolves lost their lives and are among the 58,000 immortalized on the Vietnam Memorial. Today, the children and grandchildren of those brave souls can be justifiably proud of the heritage of courage and sacrifice of their fathers and grandfathers. Madam Speaker, I would especially like to mention citizens of Arkansas who served with HAL 3, George Blackwell, Frank W. Butler, Wayne Campbell, Johnny Cruz, James L. Keyes, Terry McMillan, William McCaney, Charles Osborne, James Prater, and Mac Thomas. It's been an honor to bring this resolution honoring the HAL 3 Sea Wolves to the House, and I strongly urge my colleagues to add their names to the roster of those recognizing these American sailors. And with that, I yield back.
May I reclaim my time? Thank you. I thank the gentleman for bringing this, and I also want to recognize Hoosiers who also shared danger of combat above the rice paddies in the forests of the Mekong Delta, and that of those who served with HAL 3 from Indiana: J. Howard Cook, Rick Hodge, Melvin Howell, Thomas H. Jackson, Robert L. Redmond, and J. Wakeland. Madam Speaker, I'd ask for unanimous consent to revise and extend my remarks in support of House Resolution 1228.
Without objection.
With that, I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman from Indiana yields back the balance of his time. The gentleman from California is recognized.
Madam Speaker, I also yield back the balance of our time.
Gentleman from California yields back the balance of his time. The question is, will the House suspend the rules and agree to House Resolution 1228 as amended? Those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. In the opinion of the Chair, 2/3 being in the affirmative, the rules
Madam
are
Speaker,
suspended. The gentleman from California is recognized.
on that I demand the yeas and nays.
The yeas and nays are requested. All those in favor of taking this vote by the yeas and nays will rise and remain standing until counted. A sufficient number having risen, the yeas and nays are ordered. Pursuant to Clause 8 of Rule 20 and the Chair's prior announcement, further proceedings on this motion will be postponed.